friends. In my first appointment, an old mentor and friend was a local business owner named Bob Cole. His favorite saying to me was, "Preacher, every day is Christmas, because every day we should be thankful that Christ came for us." About 2 weeks ago, we celebrated All Saints' Day, which reminds me that every day is All Saints' Day, because all saints should act and live like saints every day. One of the earliest writings in the New Testament is Paul's letter to Thessalonica, one of his first missionary stops. His stay there was ended too soon by mob violence from a local synagogue, and so Paul had no choice but to sit down and write them a letter to encourage their very young faith. So imagine yourself in first century Thessalonica. You remember Paul's visit a few months earlier. You and many others treasured his good news about God's love in Christ, and you knew his visit ended too soon because vicious people ran him out of town. You don't fully know why they ran Paul out of town, but you do know not to ask. Thank God that Timothy somehow stayed behind to help you and others keep meeting and growing in faith. So later, you get a message that Paul has sent a letter to your church family, and you can't wait to hear what he has to say. And so when you gather, you hear Paul start with words of encouragement, and then he says, "You knew we suffered at Philippi, but we had courage in God to declare the gospel to you. You know our appeal doesn't spring from deceit or impure motives, that we speak not to please mortals or people, but to please God. As you know, we never came with words of flattery or with a pretext for greed, nor did we seek praise from people, not from you or from others. But we were gentle among you, like a nurse tenderly caring for her own children. So deeply did we care for you that we were determined to share with you not only the gospel of God, but our own very selves. You have become so dear to us. You remember that we worked night and day, so we weren't a burden to any of you as we proclaimed the gospel. You are witnesses with God of how pure, upright, and blameless our conduct was toward you believers. That we dealt with each of you like a father with his children, urging and encouraging you and pleading that you live a life worthy of God who calls you into his own kingdom and glory." So every time you hear Paul's letter read, those words settle deeper and deeper into your heart, mind, and soul. Every day you try, like others, to be just like Paul.
What wondrous love is this, O my soul? O my soul, that caused the Lord to bear the curse for my soul.
So Liz Trantor writes about the differences between her and her husband Bill. She said that when they got married, classical music wasn't on her list of preferred musical genres, but she conceded it was Bill's favorite. When a classical radio station began broadcasting in their area, they tuned their alarm clock radio to it so that every day they would be woken up by the sounds of classical music. She said they started attending concerts and recitals. They even went to operas, especially after their daughter became a singer. And then, like great writers, Lynn took this literary step back from what she was saying and said, "Bill and I have been married 48 years. I eventually realized that Bill never insisted I listen to classical music. He never argued that it was better than other kinds of music. Bill simply listened to the music he loved, and Lynn grew to love it too." You know, most of us cling so tightly to our musical tastes and preferences that we could miss Lynn's point. It's not about music. Whether you like country or rock, jazz or blues, or it's rap, R&B, or something different than all those, Lynn's point is about faithfulness. She says this lesson has taught her that instead of debating about faith or insisting that others live up to her Christian values, she's decided to be kind and loving like Jesus, treating people with respect and dignity. Lynn is convinced, and so am I, that if we do this, whenever we do have the opportunity to tell someone that God loves them, they can believe it because they've seen the truth of it in our words and our actions. Then we will be sharing God's love the way Jesus did, the way Paul did, and the way the saints back then and even still today share God's love, because every day is All Saints' Day, so let's go out there and live like God's saints.
When I choice crown for my soul. To God and to the Lamb I will sing. I will sing. I will sing. To God and to the Lamb I will sing. I will sing. I will sing. To God and to the Lamb, who is the great I am, while millions join the theme, I will sing. To God and to the Lamb, who is the great I am, while millions join the theme, I will sing. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing and joyful